Hi everybody, it's me, Mickey Mouse. Say, you want to learn how to make my clubhouse? You just gotta say the magic words. Say it with me.
Miska, Muska, Mickey Mouse.
Let's get started.
We're gonna start with Mickey's shoe. For this, you're gonna need a good amount of yellow gum paste. Roll it into a ball and then into a cone shape. Place it on your tabletop and begin to shape the heel by squeezing it together. Use the end of your palm to flatten the area above the heel and give the tip of the shoe a little lift. Use the end of your rolling pin to make a circular dent. Next, we'll be using the smaller end of our veining tool to make some creases in Mickey's shoe. We're going to make 2 large wrinkles and then 2 smaller wrinkles. Make sure that the hook is facing away from the gum paste. Now we're going to roll a ball of gum paste into a long, thin tube. This is going to be the sole of his shoe. Make sure that you roll it long enough so that it reaches all the way around. Trim what you don't need with your blade. And use your veining tool to push the sole into the creases you made. Add edible glue all around the bottom of the shoe where the sole will be touching. Carefully wrap it around the shoe and be sure to line up the little wrinkles and then add a little bit of glue right at the end of the worm. Use your flat end to nudge everything into place. We're going to roll out a thinner worm for the top of the shoe. Wrap it around the top of the dent that you made and then cut off what you don't need. Add a tiny bit of glue and then you can put it into place. Make sure that all of your seams are at the back of the shoe. That looks so cute, sweetie.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Thank you, sweetie.
We rolled out some red gum paste to cover the bottom of a half styrofoam ball, which will be the clubhouse. Smear a thin layer of shortening all over the bottom of the ball and then press it down onto your gum paste. Then use your blade to trim off the excess. Make sure the bottom is nice and smooth and go over the sides as well to make sure there are no jagged edges. Next, we're going to roll out enough gum paste to cover the entire top of the half circle. Smear a thin layer of shortening all over the styrofoam, but be careful not to get shortening on the gum paste at the bottom. We're going to be adding edible glue all along the edge there. Place the gum paste on the styrofoam and begin to gently nudge it down towards your tabletop. Go ahead and trim off what you know you don't need so it doesn't get in your way. Just like when you cover a cake with fondant, make sure that you spread out the gum paste so it doesn't wrinkle on you. Once it's all reached the bottom, you can use your smoother to begin to fine-tune your covering. When you're sure that your gum paste is completely adhered to your styrofoam ball, you can go ahead and trim off all of the excess gum paste. Use your smoother to seal both layers of gum paste. Nice and clean. We're going to start working on the Mickey Glove hot air balloon. So for the bottom part, we're going to roll out a very thick layer of black gum paste. We're going to cut out 2 circles using a 1 1/4 inch circle cutter, and we're going to glue them on top of each other. This is the base that the Mickey Glove balloon will be sitting on. We're going to insert a skewer right through the center, and you want to make sure the skewer comes out through the bottom. We're putting this on a styrofoam dummy, and we're going to push the skewer down about 3 inches. While that starts to dry, let's go ahead and cut out the little black neck part that sits on top of the clubhouse. We're using the same size cutter, and we're going to cut out 1 circle. Add a little bit of glue and place it right on top of the clubhouse. We're pressing the ball, which will become Mickey's head, up against this piece so that it starts taking on the shape. Carefully insert a thick skewer right in the center of the neck piece and push it down into the clubhouse. To create the Mickey head on top of the clubhouse, we're going to first insert 2 long toothpicks into a 4-inch styrofoam ball. Be sure to place the toothpicks where Mickey's ears should go. We're inserting a thick skewer in the bottom, and then we can go ahead and glue on these 2.5-inch balls for Mickey's ears. This glue is especially made to glue styrofoam. It'll take a few minutes for this to dry so you can set it off to the side. Next, we'll make the trees. For the tree trunk, you're going to need a small amount of brown gum paste and you're going to roll it into a long teardrop shape. You're going to flatten the bottom and pinch the edge so it's nice and sharp. Insert a long skewer through the center of the entire trunk, and you want it to come out through the bottom a little bit. This will help us stand them up easily. We'll also be placing these on a dummy cake. For the top part of the tree, we're going to roll a ball of some beautiful green gum paste. Press it down on your tabletop so the bottom gets flat. Sharpen the edge by pinching it with your fingers. We're going to use a grass tip to give our tree the appearance of foliage. Simply press the tip up against the gum paste and give it a twist. Do this all over. To add the tree trunk, we're going to make an indentation with our medium-sized ball tool, add a little bit of glue, and then press the foliage onto the tree trunk. We're making 5 of these trees. Next, we're going to make this super cute water fountain that goes in front of the clubhouse. We're going to use a 1.5-inch flower cutter to cut out a bright green base, and then a 1.25-inch flower cutter to cut out the top base. Glue these two together. For the upper part of the fountain, we're going to roll out a beautiful orange gum paste color. We're going to use a 1-inch circle cutter to cut out this circle, and then you're going to glue that on top of the flower base. Next, we're going to roll out a pretty bright yellow, same thickness, and use the same circle cutter to cut out another circle. Glue that on top of the orange circle. Use a large ball tool to make a slight indentation at the top of the fountain. Pinch the edges to make them nice and sharp, just like that. To make the water for our fountain, we're going to start by marbleizing 2 colors together, white and blue. Just mix them up till you see some nice streaks on the inside, and then pinch a little bit off, and you're going to roll this out to about 1/8 of an inch. Then cut out a 1-inch circle. Add a little bit of glue to the top of your fountain and then place a little circle in there. To make the little individual splashes of water at the top of the fountain, you're going to roll out a small ball, roll it into a long teardrop, flatten the bottom, and then curve the top of the teardrop. Add a tiny bit of glue and then place it on top of your fountain. You can make these little splashes of water whatever size you'd like. Now that's cute. Let's make the windows for our clubhouse. We're using a nice baby blue gum paste and we're going to cut out 2 1-inch ovals. We're using a black edible marker to outline the entire edge of the window. Then draw 1 line going straight down and 2 going across at an angle. Do the same thing for the second window. When you're finished, add a little bit of glue to the back of each window and place them in the front of your clubhouse. Notice how they're slightly tilting inward. They're not perfectly straight. Cute, cute, cute. We're going to be making several little flowers to decorate our clubhouse. After cutting out our miniature flowers, we're going to place them on top of a foam pad, and we're going to cup the petals and also be sure to cup the center of the flower. This will make them look somewhat 3D. For the centers, we're going to roll a little tiny red ball, semi-flatten it, and then we're going to glue it to the middle of the flower. The little yellow flowers have red centers. Now that our styrofoam glue has dried, we're going to go ahead and paint the entire Mickey head black. We're using black acrylic paint to do this. We always make the top of our clubhouse this way to keep the weight down. Plus, it's fun. Once the paint dries, you can simply remove the skewer that's in the head, trim the skewer that's in the clubhouse, and pop it right on. To make this slide, we're going to roll out a nice blue gum paste, and we're going to roll this out into a thick tube until it's about 5 inches in length. You want to completely flatten one of the ends of the slide. This is the part that will be glued up against the clubhouse. On the other end of the slide, use your large ball tool to create a nice deep opening. The slide has grooves that wrap all the way around. To do this, we're going to use our Wilton knife tool. We'll be making a total of 5 grooves evenly spaced out to the end of the slide. We're going to pre-make the hole where the slide will go, and then we're going to cut the end of this toothpick. Reinsert the toothpick blunt end in and just have a little bit of it sticking out. Add a little bit of edible glue to the flat end of the slide and carefully press it onto the toothpick. Use cosmetic sponges to elevate the slide and hold it in place until it dries. We usually use 2 of them. Let's make a tiny straight cut at the back of our shoe to make sure it stands up nice and straight. Then we'll roll out some black gum paste nice and thick and cut out a 1.25-inch circle. This will be the ankle that goes inside of the shoe. Gently squeeze it to make it a little bit longer. Now we'll just add a little bit of glue to the inside of the shoe and insert the ankle. To attach it, we're going to insert half a toothpick into the right side of the clubhouse. We want the blunt end sticking out. Add a little bit of glue to the ankle and gently press it onto the toothpick until it sticks to the clubhouse. Roll out a thin amount of black gum paste and you're going to cut a little strip about 1/4 inch wide. Wrap it around the ankle next to the clubhouse and cut off what you don't need. Add a little bit of glue to the back of the strip and completely wrap it around the ankle. This little strip should be right over the seam where the ankle meets the clubhouse. Let's make the little doormat to our shoe entrance. Roll out a small amount of red gum paste and cut out a 2-inch oval. Cut this oval slightly more than halfway up. The larger part of the oval is our doormat. To make the door frame of the shoe entrance, we're going to roll out some white gum paste into a long, thin tube about 1/4 inch wide. Then you're going to semi-flatten it with your fingers and cut the ends off. For the little window, roll out some blue gum paste and you're going to cut out a circle using the wider end of a 10-inch tip. Use your black edible marker to outline the outside of the window. And draw 2 lines crisscrossing on the inside. For For the doorknob, you just need a little ball of black gum paste and semi-flatten it with your finger. To put the entrance together, add a little bit of glue to the back of the door frame. Make sure that the ends of the door frame are on top of the doormat. Add a little bit of glue to your window and to your doorknob, and just put them in place. To make our Mickey glove balloon, roll out a ball of white gum paste and press it between your hands to semi-flatten it. Stand it up on your tabletop and press it down as you turn it to flatten the bottom. We're cutting 2 toothpicks in half, and we're going to insert them into the glove, blunt end in where the fingers go. 1 toothpick sticks straight out to the side, and the other 3 are evenly spaced out at the top. For each finger, you're going to roll out a small ball of white gum paste and roll it into a teardrop shape. Place the pointy end on your table and twist it to flatten the bottom. Add a little bit of glue and gently press it onto the toothpick. Arch the thumb slightly downward. Follow the same technique for all the other little fingers. The 3 fingers at the top are slightly arched towards the thumb. That is too cute. We're going to add a little white ring around the bottom of the glove, so for this, roll out a long, thin tube of white gum paste, cut both ends, and then wrap it around the base of the glove. Cut off what you don't need. Add edible glue to the areas that the worm will be touching, and gently wrap it around. Add a little bit of glue to the seam. Just like that. For the little black details on Mickey's glove, you're going to roll out 3 little black balls of gum paste, roll them into a worm, and make both ends pointy. The line in the middle is straight, but the 2 on the outside are slightly arched inward. Add a little bit of edible glue to the glove in the shape of the lines. Then just carefully add them to the glove. You're doing so good with your Clubhouse, sweetie. I'm so proud of you. You have fun making it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You do a pretty good Mickey, too.
Oh, shucks.
Now we can add the glove balloon to the bottom part we made earlier. Cut the skewer so that it only goes halfway up the glove. And don't forget to add glue between these 2 pieces. Now we're going to make the wall that surrounds the entire clubhouse. Our clubhouse fits perfectly on top of a 10-inch or 12-inch cake. But today we're making them to fit perfectly on top of a 12-inch. I've rolled out a long yellow worm of gum paste to the size that I need it to be, and I'm flattening it with my rolling pin. I want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. You want both ends to be nice and round, like this. To get the perfect wall, it's easier for me to cut it in half. That way I can work on each half individually. The top of my wall is wavy, so you see me placing it on my table that way. The bottom, however, is perfectly straight, so I'm placing my long ruler on top of the wall to give me a nice straight cut. My walls are only a little bit taller than the size of my ruler, about 1 1/4 inch in height. I'm going to do the same exact thing to the second wall. Now I'm going to size this wall up perfectly, so I'm placing it up against the outside of my 12-inch cake pan. I've turned it around so you can get a good view of the back. I'm trimming it perfectly so that they meet up. On the front side, I've left a 4 3/4 inch gap, which will be the size of the gate. We leave these walls up against the cake pan until they're completely dry, and cosmetic sponges help the wall stay nice and straight. Now for the gate, we're going to roll out some white gum paste to about 1/4 of an inch in thickness, and then make 1 straight cut at the bottom and 1 on each side. Our gate is roughly about 3 inches wide, and the straight side's about 1 inch tall. Starting at the 1 inch height, use your blade to make an upward mark towards the center of the gate. Do the same thing on the other side. Now we'll just make our cuts right where we made our marks. Cut a half circle using the wide end of a 10-inch tip right at the point. Use the blunt end of your blade to create a wood effect on the gate. Be very careful that you don't cut yourself. We've made a total of 7 lines. Follow the lines along the top of the gate as well as on the back side. For a more detailed wood effect, use the wheel tool to create little tiny lines all over the gate. Just like that. For the little wooden posts on the side of the gate, you're going to roll out a small amount of brown gum paste and roll it into a tube approximately 3 inches in length. Then cut it in half. To attach the post to the gate, we're going to need 4 little pieces of 18 gauge wire. Insert 2 pieces on each side. Then press the post onto the wire to pre-make the holes. To make the hinge on the gate, roll out a little tube of brown gum paste, and then you're going to semi-flatten it with your finger, and then go over it with your rolling pin to make it nice and thin. Add a little bit of glue to the back, and you're going to place it right in the center of the left side of the gate. Give this little piece some wood grain as well. We're using our smallest ball tool to make 3 little holes on each side of the hinge. Go over your wooden posts with your wheel tool as well to give it a little wood grain. To add them to our gate, just add a little bit of edible glue and place them onto the wires. If your gate will be eaten, remember you can always use little sticks of spaghetti instead of wire. Now all our little posts need are 2 little Mickey heads. Roll out 2 medium-sized balls and 4 little tiny balls for the ears. We're also going to need little tiny wire pieces for these parts. Place a wire into the top of each post. Then use a wire to pre-make the holes into the heads. This is so that we don't accidentally push the wire down into the post. Add a little bit of glue to the heads and place them onto the wires. Here you see him pre-making all the little holes, 2 on each head, and also pre-making the little tiny holes on the ears. He's going to insert little wires in the holes that he made and then add glue around them and place the little ears onto the wires. All of this effort is definitely worth it, and you have peace of mind knowing that nothing's going to break on you. Lastly, add a little bit of wood grain to the Mickey heads. What a perfect gate. Here's our entire finished Mickey Mouse Clubhouse cake topper set. Wow, it's absolutely beautiful. You did such a good job, baby.
Aw, thank you, my baby.
You like your clubhouse, Mickey?
I love it!
We hope you enjoyed this tutorial, everybody.
Thanks for watching and have fun making your clubhouses.
Bye-bye, everybody. Hey guys, why don't you stick around and check out some more of our awesome tutorials. If you'd like to learn how to make these super cool Monster High cupcake toppers, click on the video on the left. If you'd like to learn how to make this adorable Shopkins Wishes birthday cake, click on the video on the right. If you happen to be on a mobile device, you can find links to these tutorials underneath our video. We'd like to invite you to visit our online shops where you can find awesome tutorials and our handmade merchandise. We would love it if you could follow us on our social media. You can find all the links underneath our video. And if you haven't yet, please don't forget to subscribe. We love and appreciate all of our subscribers.